In a world with massive inequities, a huge economic slump, political upheavals, and religious strife, what is an individual and organization to do? Clearly, individuals and institutions are not helpless to address these problems. Rather than being passive or fatalistic, we need to begin to seek change that addresses these problems. As individuals and organizations, we can and must reinvent ourselves, seek new innovations, and create sustainable organizations and environments. It is imperative that individuals and organizations seek to examine their successes and failures and seek to reinvent themselves. They must use intuition and foresight and make calculated risks to advance and evolve. They must educate and train decision makers in the effective use of these techniques. Organizations that fail to change with shifting markets, generations, and economic circumstances are destined to fail. Reinvention is a process by which an individual or an organization attempts to examine current inefficiencies, discover new opportunities and missions, and create beneficial change. Reinvention requires creative thinking and re-examination of your current individual or organizational practices. Inertia and calcification are great threats to individual and organizational well-being. In an effort to stimulate your thinking about reinvention in this module, we will discuss a series of ways you and your organization can rethink what you're currently doing. Let's first look toward our core competencies. Companies should identify what is central, peripheral, and completely outside their capacities. Organizations should critically analyze what they are really good at, or what they can possibly do, and what is outside of their potential. Building on core competencies is a key to a productive forward path. Most individuals and companies know what they do best, and these core competencies should provide the stable center for your career or company. Consider the micro-investment option. In many countries, the poorest citizens can be helped with small investments of cash to jumpstart their businesses. What might be a trivial amount of money to your organization can be the lifeblood of a small business. Given the great disparities, micro-investments can be both socially responsible and a good investment for your organization. Rather than just giving to charity, which promotes dependence, investing in a small organization promotes independence. Successful businesses eventually have a multiplier effect on the local economy and produce more consumers for local businesses. Even if a micro-investment only yields a 2% profit, your organization will have 102% more money to reinvest in another enterprise than if the money was donated to charity. Have you or your organization ever considered micro-investment? Let's now comment on the benefits of democratization. Democracy is not easily adaptable to every culture or political system. Some countries lack any history of democratic values, have no experience with elections, have no traditions of free speech, and no respect for the civil equality of each person. Thus, the seeds of democratic tradition does not thrive equally well in the soil of all countries. Nonetheless, where the seeds of democracy can sprout, economies tend to thrive. In democracies, more citizens of both sexes and all economic classes have greater access to education. Education is the great engine of personal and economic growth. Education produces human capital, and human capital is a leading prerequisite to economic growth. So here are some questions that you or your organization need to answer. Are educational opportunities available to all people in your community and country? Can the most talented people in your community and country continue their education? What steps can be taken to improve your schools and maximize the potential of every citizen? Beyond education, other factors enable countries and their people to thrive economically in democracies. Oppression stifles innovation and reinvention. Freedom of expression, investment, and opportunity liberates the creative energies of your people. If opportunity is limited to a single social class or ethnic group, a country will stagnate, for the creative energies of each person will not be maximized. Statistically, throughout the world, democracies have much higher gross domestic products than dictatorships. In the Americas, there are several examples of the benefits of transitions to democracy. For example, Chile's movement from dictatorship to democracy has fostered considerable economic growth and innovation. Likewise, Costa Rica is a country that has benefited from considerable economic and political democracy. It is the oldest democracy in Latin America and one of the most prosperous. It is near the top in the Human Development Index and in environmental protection. The strong position of Costa Rica has attracted international investment and tourism, further increasing its prosperity. According to the New Economic Foundation, Costa Rica ranks first as an index of human well-being and environmental protection. Much can be learned by every American country from the experiences of Costa Rica. Have you studied what is going on right in Costa Rica? Research suggests that center-left democratic governments foster the most economic growth for the most people. Much of the hemisphere is still deciding the most appropriate economic and democratic model for their country. So here are some questions to ask about your community and your country. Is your labor market free to change jobs and move to new areas of economic growth? Can all of your citizens open a small business with an equal chance of survival? Are job opportunities available in the private and public sector for all your citizens? If not, what can you or your institution do to open up great opportunity for all your citizens? We must all seek sustainability. As I discussed in another ITC program, sustainability means both ongoing economic and environmental protection. The buzzword of the next decade, indeed the 21st century, will be sustainability. According to business consultant Greg Andreotti, the triple bottom line of sustainability is comprised of financial profitability, ecological integrity, and social equity. In short, sustainable organizations must care about profits, the people, and the planet. Throughout the world, most businesses fail. So the first task of any organization is to be economically sustainable. Second, companies have a duty to be ecologically sustainable, to leave the environment in better shape than they found it. Otherwise, an organization is jeopardizing the health and very lives of future sustainability. Finally, individuals and organizations must exercise social responsibility. Organizations and individuals have a responsibility to collaborate, to share their wealth and expertise, and to create more sustainable communities. This is more than a matter of altruism. Uneducated, unemployed, unhealthy people threaten other people and make life more dangerous. People without a future have little to lose and can easily turn to crime, violence, terrorism, or smuggling to seek opportunities they do not have. Socially responsibility societies are safer societies. So ask yourself some of the following questions. In terms of financial sustainability, does your organization have a long-term business plan? Is your debt manageable? Have you focused on your core competencies? In terms of environmental sustainability, does your organization have an energy conservation plan, a LEED certification for your buildings, wind or solar power or other forms of green power generation, a recycling program, flexible work hours, or a water conservation plan? Many of these sustainability innovations can produce savings and profitability for your organization, as well as doing your part to protect the local and global environment. In terms of social responsibility, do you or your organization support charitable giving? Do you collaborate with and support educational organizations? Do you support human rights and public health? Let's insist on empowering women. The wealthiest countries in the world have the most educated women and the highest percentage of women in the workforce. Educated women have educated children, so women are the key to expanding literacy and economic productivity. Women also offer different organizational perspectives and can be a key to organizational innovation. Does your country and company provide equal educational and occupational opportunity for women? Do you encourage women to apply for all positions, including management positions? Do you have a process for the review of sexual harassment charges? Has your company unleashed the power of women in your organization? Buy locally. In the past, we have advocated the benefits of the global marketplace. However, local vendors often have better service, quicker deliveries, less environmental impact, and they can cultivate local relationships in enterprises. Local purchases are more likely to be invested in the local community and help your community and country. Small businesses are the leading employer in most countries and lead to economic diversity, competition, and sustainability. Have you explored local vendors in your home community? Do you have ongoing relationships with local businesses? Listen downward. People born after 1980 are called millennials or Generation Y. They are the most educated, technologically savvy, and future-oriented among all the generations. It is imperative that you listen carefully to these younger people. The future of many organizations lies with the millennials. They are experts in social networking, text messaging, website design, fourth-generation technology applications, Twitter, and the new technologies that may still be on the drawing board. The future of advertising, marketing, organizational training, and institutional reinvention is in the hands of millennials. Do you get input from your brightest, youngest employees about technical innovation from these tech-savvy young employees? Are millennials on your work teams? Does your marketing staff consult with them? Answering these questions is a key to individual and organizational reinvention and change. Listen to your customers and clients. Both informal and formal information is essential to your organization to adapt to a rapidly changing world. Remember, a single comment from a happy or disgruntled customer probably represents 1,000 that don't have time to write. Surveys are also a great aid to organization in terms of positions and products. Innovate. Successful organizations and businesses innovate to keep up with the accelerating rate of change. One of the ways that organizations can change is to hire people who are knowledge entrepreneurs. These individuals are able to acquire crucial knowledge and recognize opportunities for the application of that knowledge. Knowledge entrepreneurs are different from traditional entrepreneurs in that they are not primarily motivated by monetary profit, but instead by the spread and application of knowledge. Just like ordinary entrepreneurs who invest in innovative opportunities, knowledge entrepreneurs recognize relevant information that can make an organization smarter, leaner, or more innovative. Adopting change. Change is not easy for most people. It is so much easier to go with the flow, do what you're doing, and to resist having to learn new ways. Research on diffusion of innovation has consistently demonstrated 5 factors that cause people to willingly adopt new practices or products. Whether you are trying to get employees or students to adopt a new way of working, or you are getting customers to adopt a new service or product, these 5 vital characteristics are the same. Thousands of research studies have shown that 5 characteristics determine whether an innovation is adopted. Compatibility. Any new innovation must be compatible with existing values, religious ideals, social norms, beliefs, or practices. An innovation that is regarded as inconsistent with organizational goals, personal values, beliefs about the world, or the institutional or individual values is unlikely to be embraced and adopted. Simplicity. A major barrier to the adoption of new innovation is its perceived complexity. If a new phone, electric car, business software, voting system is perceived as too complex, the chances of adoption are dramatically reduced. People are fearful about new innovations and lazy about learning them. Usually, it is good to survey organizational members or customers to get their thoughts and assess their attitudes and opinions regarding the new innovation. Observability. People need to see an innovation in action or the results of a new product or practice. Observability reduces uncertainty and increases comfort level with an innovation. Visible results jumpstart the word-of-mouth process and stimulates discussion and diffusion. Trialability. Most people need to try a new idea, practice a product on a limited basis prior to adoption. This is the basis of test drives, free samples, practice sessions, or limited trials. People fear the unknown, and if they can try out a new practice or product, they are much more likely to eventually adopt it. Relative advantage. Relative advantage is the degree to which an innovation is perceived as better, more cost-effective, or beneficial than the practice it supersedes. Relative advantage is sometimes thought of as the business model, but it is more than that. It includes convenience, satisfaction, pleasure, aesthetic qualities, and the cost-benefit analysis of an innovation. For example, if the use of wind power at an organization is perceived as a long-term cost saver, socially responsibility, and good for the public relations, This offsets the costs and learning curve associated with adopting this alternative energy source. One of the impressive things about this 5-part adoption model is that it's been tested across a number of innovations and country. These 5 characteristics have been tested for innovations as diverse as management practices, diffusion of hybrid corn, drug use or prevention, sun safety, environmental practices, alternative transportation, water conservation, safe sex practices, technology adoption, and hundreds of other innovations. Moreover, such studies have been tested across the world, including dozens of countries in Asia, Central America, Europe, North America, the Pacific Basin, and South America. People adopt or fail to adopt innovations for the same reasons worldwide. The key to the above discussion is re-examination and reinvention. While the details of today's discussion may leave you, the important takeaway from this presentation is to constantly examine yourself, your career, your organization, and to re-envision your possibilities with creativity and innovation. This is the new essence for sustainability and global success. Thank you.